I'll do a little intro. Hi everybody. I'm Coach Scott. I'm one of the owners of Kid Strong in Alberta, and I've known Kaylee now for a long time, probably 15 years. We used to work together in the fitness industry. Kaylee's still very active in the fitness industry, and she's just outstanding. Personal trainer, nutritionist, instructor, presenter, one of the funnest people I've ever worked with. And she's also a Kid Strong mom. So she's had her kids with us in our Simons Valley location for a number of years and seen great confidence in those two kiddos. So I know Kaylee's a big advocate of what we're doing at Kid Strong. And the reason for this seminar is we wanted to provide complimentary resource for parents, specifically for parents, because we know a lot of what we do at Kid Strong is focused on the kids, but parenting is hard. Adulting is hard. And so we wanted to give just some complementary tools throughout the year. So we've had some child psychologists come in, some adult psychologists, we had a burnout coach. And so we want to make sure our parents are equipped to take care of themselves, because you can't take care of your family if you're not looking after yourself. And I know that from experience. So I have two kids, 20 and 17. But I remember when they were little, like that's the hardest time of your life. You're usually, working and trying to raise little kids, and they need you for everything. And it's a lot. So anything you can do to, help prioritize your health and your wellness will help you in turn become an even better parent than you already are. Our parents are amazing at Kid Strong, so we're so blessed to have such great families. But yeah, that's why we are doing this. So take it away, Kaylee.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to second that number one, everyone that's part of Kid Strong is already doing a great job just instilling in their children the importance of physical activity. And I mean, physical literacy is really the biggest part of that. Kennedy's here with me too. Her screen is off. She's coaches with me. And that's actually her degree. So she's going to jump in occasionally to add to this where I miss pieces and give her insight. Because two brains are always better than one. But yes, we are doing the ultimate first job of looking after our kids, and most of us forget to look after ourselves. And so that's what this is really all about. So I want to give you guys a ton of information. On today, we're talking about muscle building, but I also want you to be able to walk away with some next steps and strategies, because we live in a world where information is plenty, but actionable strategy is missing. So I want you guys to be able to know, like, this is what I do next. And if you don't quite know what to do next, I want you to be able to know where to reach out to find those next steps. And that's myself or Kennedy. We're more than willing to chat with anybody that has questions. But let me just share my screen and get started. And while I share my screen, I can't actually see you guys. So if you have questions, just jump in and interrupt me, because I won't be able to see you because I'm on a laptop. And if I ask questions, just jump in and answer, because that would be great. I don't care if you're interrupting me. That is the way it is. So we are going to, you guys can see my icebreaker screen. Does that make sense? Everyone can see that?
Okay. Yeah, you can see
it. So we're in January. We're almost done January, which is crazy, but I feel like most of us probably had health goals that we set for this year. So does anyone have a health goal that they set for themselves? You guys gotta jump in and say it. You can share. We're
I raised my hand and you just said you can't see me. Yes, I want to lose 25 pounds. So I'm 250. I want to weigh 225. I want to be able to bench 225 12 times. I used to play football, so that's what I used to be able to do. And I have a knee that needs replacing. And so I want to make sure I'm strong as possible so I can get a knee replacement and recover quickish.
Nice. Good. Lots of goals. Love it. Anyone else? Everyone else. Come on. We're a small group. We can all share. I want to deadlift 300 pounds. That's mine. I'll throw that out there. Jewel, you go.
For me, the goal that I've set for myself is very small, and I feel that it's achievable. It's to stretch before my workout because I had a plantar tear on my fascia, and so I was recovering from it. So for a long time, I wasn't able to do my run. But as I understand how the body mechanics work now, my physiotherapist has told me to stretch. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to stretch throughout the day. I do sit for most of my job, so trying to stretch those leg muscles just like that, and then also to have a proper stretching session before I go into my actual like running or more extraneous work that I'm doing. So those are the couple of goals that I have to keep moving throughout the day and to stretch before my actual exercise begins.
Awesome. I love that. Anyone else?
Hi, Sandra here, Coach Sandra. My word is jacked. I want to get jacked this year. I did.
Love that word.
Yeah, I did a lot of muscle gain a year ago, and it was very exciting. Unfortunately, I pulled my hamstring, so I had to really slow down, especially on the lower body, but that's healed up. So I want to get more results in my lower body. You can definitely see it in my shoulders and my arms. When I do muscles up at Kids Strong, sometimes I get whoa from the parents. I want that to keep going. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, love it. Awesome. Anyone else have goals they want to talk about? Or should we move on? I'm not going to tell you why that shouldn't be your guys' goal, but I will tell you that muscle building should be your number one goal. So if that's not your goal, you're going to change it by the end of this session. Like, and it's not because, and it's, I think all of the goals you guys laid out will be achieved by making building muscle your priority 100%. So, and I want to talk about this specifically, especially as we talk about energy levels for parents, as we talk about getting older, and as we talk about remaining strong, right? So when was the last time any of you thought about your muscle mass as an actual health metric? I'm assuming we don't go to the doctor and get our muscle mass measured. I never have. I got my weight measured and my height measured and my triglycerides measured, but I've never actually had like my muscle mass measured. Anyone? No? I'm assuming silence.
Negative.
I did it as part of my education at NAIT and just trying to learn more about my own body. So I had a DEXA done, a dual X-ray absorptiometry. So they do all the muscle mass and bone density and fat. So it was a nice learning opportunity about my body and how it was doing.
Yeah, and I feel like if we want that, we generally have to take that into our own hands and do it, versus having it measured as just like a traditional preventative health metric as we age, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Who's doing regular strength training right now? Say I. Well, like nay or
I.
Anyone? Jewel, are you training? I don't know if I heard your voice.
Well, as I said, it's more part of the whole rehabilitation of my my fascia, so that there is that strength in there to add it to the treatment.
Awesome. Oh, and we have more people that joined too. So you guys feel free, Peter, Soad, I don't know if I pronounced your name right, and Amanda. I'd love if you jumped in. We're making this as user friendly as possible. So, okay, next one. So I'm going to talk about why this matters because you guys are probably like, yeah, that's great. Muscle building goal, like who cares? So this is why we care. I'm assuming most of us are over 30. I just turned 30. No, I'm just kidding. I'm almost 41. But as after age of 30, we lose 3 to 8% of our muscle mass per decade. So, and it's more than that after the age of 50. I won't ask who's over 50, but these are big metrics, guys, if we do nothing to build muscle. So we are losing muscle mass every single year after 30, which is younger than most people think. When we lose muscle, our metabolism slows down. Sometimes we run into problems with our balance. which is huge when it comes to getting actually older, because a big risk factor for seniors is falling and like breaking bones. We generally have lower energy and we have higher injury risk. So if we aren't focusing on building muscle, we do run into the problem where we would potentially be injured more often, and it'll take longer for those injuries to get repaired. And there's been 2 of you so far that have talked about injuries. So I know that that's a thing. Okay. Muscle is a metabolic organ, so it's an active tissue. It burns calories as it, like just us standing here. It regulates our glucose metabolism, which is huge when we live in a world where about 60% of people have some sort of metabolic disorder related to glucose. And it actually supports our hormone health. So if you're a woman, especially over 40, this is going to be huge for you, because our hormone health is a big thing when it comes to aging. So if your metabolism and balance and confidence and all these things decline together, how much of that might be preventable through actually maintaining and gaining muscle mass is a rhetorical question. You don't need to answer that one. The answer is lots, in case anyone's wondering. Okay. We're gonna go through the science of muscle mass. So, and I'm gonna do this quick because most people don't care about physiology the way I do. That's just what my degree's in. So who's heard of the term, like, I just want to tone? It's still out there. Come on. It's a lie. Your muscle always has tone. It's an active tissue. So toning up's not actually a thing, although it is still like the verbiage we use when we talk about, like Sandra said, getting jacked. So muscle always has tone because it's active. But what most people are talking about when they talk about tone is body composition. So they want to lose body fat and gain muscle mass so they can see visible muscle. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about tone. But when we talk about tone from a physiological perspective, it means that our muscle is actively storing glucose, improving insulin sensitivity, and supporting the immune system, as well as doing all the things like contracting and moving our joints like it's supposed to do, okay? If we have more muscle, we have better body composition, we have better posture, we have more energy, and we even have better mental clarity because of the way it affects glucose and insulin sensitivity, because that's what our brain runs on. Okay, so muscle impacts literally everything down to your hormonal and neurotransmitter brain levels. So if we treated muscle mass like an investment in a bank account, how much interest are you earning right now? Be honest with yourself. 1%, 50%, 12%. We all understand banking language. Anyone want to spit out a number and be vulnerable? No? Lots? Is anyone earning a lot of interest right now? Investing in their muscle health?
Well, for me at Kidstrong, yeah, I really want to walk the walk in front of the kids, in front of the parents, and be a role model for my own kids. I have kids. I want them to aspire to take care of their health. And yeah, for me, for my career, just for my own well-being. I'm really investing.
You got this, Sandra. Scott, you got a good coach there.
I do.
Awesome. We're gonna leave the silence there. I won't like pick on you guys. So we're gonna teach you how to do this going forward. Okay. So I'm gonna talk about what builds muscle. And it's not eating protein, so we can get that out of our head like right away. So we need stimulus to build muscle. So the key principle to this is progressive overload. Have we heard of that term before? Everyone? Some people speak up if you haven't, because I want to make sure that I'm helping you guys understand this really clearly. Because the better understanding we have, then the more we can take it and apply it. Right? So I don't want to say anything that I understand that maybe someone else doesn't. So, okay. What progressive overload is doing a little bit more over time. That's all it is. That's a really simple way to look at it. If you talk to like trainers and kinesiologists and anybody in the fitness world, they'll talk about progressive overload a little bit more complicated than that, but it's really simple. Are we doing a little bit more over time? That's how we progressively overload our muscle. Okay. And there's 3 ways to do that when it comes to strength training. One is load. So are we lifting heavier weights? Another is volume. So that's going to be like, are we doing a bit more reps? Are we doing maybe more sets? That's our volume. And another one's effort. So how hard are we actually pushing? What's our intensity level look like? And this one gets a little bit convoluted because a lot of people mix up training with cardio. So I want us to take like HIIT and any of our classes and any of our cardio and any of our CrossFit or F45, all of that's out of the picture when we're talking about progressive overload from a strength training perspective. Effort doesn't mean how much you're sweating. It means how close you're training to failure. And we're going to get into what that looks like too. So we need to train close to failure to actually trigger muscle growth. So muscle, there is an old school mentality that comes from like bodybuilding 80s that we need to create like mechanical damage in our muscle, meaning we tear all the little muscle fibers and get really sore. And then those muscles, like those fibers build up over time, and that's how we build muscle. And that was what was predominantly taught in the fitness industry up until probably a decade ago, where research and science kind of started changing and recognizing that, yes, that is one stimulus, but a better stimulus is mechanical tension. And tension occurs where we generate more tension in the muscle, not more damage through the muscle. And this is nice for us people that don't like being insanely sore after workouts. So, training close to failure is what triggers growth, because that's where we create mechanical tension. So, and I'm going to walk you guys through really practically what that looks like, because it's very challenging to teach and even harder to start learning as a skill to do. But a good way to use this is with the RPE scale. So that's your rate of perceived exertion. Who has heard of that before when it comes to training? Because I'm going to
Yes.
Okay. So an RPE, there's two scales. We're going to go with the 1 to 10 scale. So an RPE of 1's like, I'm sleeping. You're not exerting yourself very much. And an RPE of 10 is like maximal effort. So if you were thinking of it from a cardio perspective, you're like running for your life from a bear. If you're thinking of it from a strength perspective, it's like, I'm lifting this car off my crushed child. Okay, that's a 10. I would argue most of us don't train at a 10. I don't train at a 10. That would be very hard to elicit. But we can get to about an 8 or a 9. And at that 8 or a 9 is where we trigger muscle growth. And the way you can do this is by testing what your last 2 to 3 reps look like. Kennedy, am I getting this? Is it good? Okay. You're nodding. I can see like one person at a time on my screen if their mute goes off. So I'm not gonna make you demo today, Kenny, because it'll be too hard. But let's say you're doing 10 reps of an exercise and your first rep comes up really fast, right? So your speed's like 1 second, and your 10th rep, the speed is 1 second. You aren't at near close to failure. You want to look for those last 2 to 3 reps to be taking about double the amount of time to do than your first reps. It's called involuntary slowing. So as things get harder, it takes longer to do. And that's where mechanical tension kind of lives. So that's what I want you guys, when you're doing your strength training, to really look for. Are my reps slowing down because this is getting harder for me to do? Then we're creating mechanical tension. Then we are triggering muscle growth. So, question for you guys, who's heard this before? Who has questions? Because I covered a lot of physiology in that little section. Anybody? Does that make sense to everyone? I want to make sure it's not going over anyone's head.
That makes sense to me. I've heard, to failure in different ways. I like that it's slower, right? I've heard definitely your form might come a little sloppy, or maybe you need assistance getting that last one, but I like that slowness analogy.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I would say we're looking for failure from a attention perspective, not from a technical perspective. So you should be having that involuntary slowing of reps with perfect technical form. So if your form breaks down, it's too heavy. Because if we're doing it with incorrect form, we're not actually utilizing the muscles we need that we're trying to utilize. We're bringing in stabilizers, we're doing it with poor form, we're not in the right positions. So whenever we talk about training to failure, I'm not talking about technical failure, meaning that like you get down to the bottom of a squat and can't stand back up. I'm talking about are those reps slowing involuntarily because we're needing to create more tension in the muscle to move the weight. So we never want to sacrifice form for failure. So that's a really good point to bring up. So I don't want you guys thinking that someone needs to help you get it up, or that we need to actually fail, as in not be able to do the exercises, because that's where we come into like safety considerations. So I want you guys to be stable and safe in all your movements, knowing that we don't actually have to like bail out on an exercise to get this result. Okay, does that help, Sandra?
I love it.
Cool. Any other questions about failure? Who does it? Who trains to failure consistently? I would say I do. My coach says differently, which is why most people need a coach.
I do,
Bye.
because my coach yells at me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like most of us without coaches would be like, that felt hard. That was for sure an 8 out of 10. And then I'll send my coach a video and he'd be like, that was probably a 6. And I'll be like, what? Didn't feel like a 6, but it's kind of funny. So that's why we have coaches. Awesome. Okay, so that's the stimulus. We're looking to train to failure. So let's talk about some myth busting. What doesn't build muscle? So how many of us have done workouts for years but haven't seen any real changes in strength or physique? And I'm going to define real by lasting changes, because they're not real if they don't last. How many of us? I know I have, for sure, in the past. Anybody? No one? You guys all have awesome programs that give you exactly what you're looking for? I love it.
My issue is not the results from training, it's just training consistently, fitting it in.
Yeah, consistency is a big thing, I think, for most people, actually. That's not just you, because life's gonna life, right? Anybody else? Okay. If you guys don't like sharing, you're not comfortable with me yet, that's okay. What are some myths that we've heard about building muscle or strength training? Let's talk about some of those myths. We all live in the internet world. What are some things we've seen or heard or believed in the past, or even one that you've heard recently and you kind of want to shout out there? We've all had them. Let's talk about them, because some of them are funny.
I could go. Eating protein builds the muscle, and you just said in your first slide that it really doesn't.
So I can address that one right now. Training stimulus builds muscle, but we need protein in order to do that. So I would say we are in this society where people are like over focused on eating protein to the point of we're probably eating more than we actually need to. So we do need protein. It is the building blocks of muscle. Of course, that we are going to need to ingest protein to build muscle. But what we also need are carbohydrates to fuel the intensity that we need in the workouts. So a lot of people will eat too much protein and not enough carbs. And that right there will prevent you from gaining muscle more than not eating protein at all will. You can eat a high protein diet and do 0 strength training and you will build 0 muscle. You can eat a low protein diet and do really wicked strength training and you will build muscle. So it comes down to both. It's not one or the other, but I think we have swung in this direction where it's like protein noodles and protein. I saw protein soda. Like, what? It has 5 grams of protein. It's not protein soda. Shut up. Like, we don't need that much protein. Like, just
Now everything at Starbucks, you can add protein to your
protein,
Starbucks
everything.
too.
It is a marketing gimmick, guys. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. We can talk about how much protein you actually need, But I think that's the best way to think about it is like, I could eat really good protein and do no strength training and I won't actually build muscle. So like, is it the protein doing it? Or is it just the facilitator that helps build it when we actually start training? Right? And then we do need the carbs in the workouts, because if we're not adequately fueled enough from an energy perspective, then we actually can't push the intensity we need to build muscle. Building muscle is really hard to do. It's not easy, right? An average person can train consistently like 3 to 5 days a week, working really hard, and you'll probably see like 1 to 2 pounds of muscle gain a year. So that brings me to a myth that we heard, like, I don't want to get bulky. Come on, girls. It's still out there. Anyone heard that or been fearful of it?
I've heard it. I was talking with one of the other coaches about that, and he's like, do you have any idea how much work and how much food you need for that? You need to eat like a beast. Like, it's
And
crazy.
train like a beast.
You're not going to like do a workout for a month and be like She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And I like She-Hulk anyway, but you know, like it's
yeah. You
No.
also have to train like a beast. Like, because if you just eat like a beast, you're not going to look jacked. I promise you that.
no, you're just gonna get heavy.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fat, not muscle.
Any other myths about like anything around lifting heavy or lifting light? Like, how about like lots of reps build long lean muscle and less reps build bulky muscle? I've heard that one too. Anyone heard that one?
Well, I got one. I've heard too that weightlifting is what you need to focus on to build your muscles. And frankly, I'm not really sure if that's still a myth. It's just part of the regiment you need to focus on.
Sorry, what did you say you wanted to focus on? I missed just that one word, Peter.
Yeah, I said I've also heard that weightlifting
Yeah.
is also what you need to focus on to build your muscles. And I'm wondering if that's a myth or it's just one of the things you do need to do.
Weightlifting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are you talking like Olympic style weightlifting or just lifting weights in the gym?
I mean, I've heard someone say you need to focus on weightlifting and not so much on other reps you need to do, but focusing on that is what you need to build muscles.
Yeah. So I would frame like weightlifting is kind of a weird term. I would use resistance training as the term, because what we need is resistance to progress and build the muscle. And that resistance can come in many forms. So it can come from things like dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, the machines in the gym, but it can also come from bands and body weight and different stuff like that. So the mode of resistance isn't as important as the stimulus we're trying to achieve, which is that training to failure, like building that mechanical tension, slowing down the reps. So if we can achieve that with our body weight, say doing something like chin-ups or push-ups, then you will build muscle, right? The limitation to some of those things is that, for instance, with lower body, things like squats, most people, when you start, you might reach failure with doing body weight squats, but it will come a time where you'll probably have to do 100 of them to get to the point where you actually like slow down in that. So there is always going to come a point with body weight exercises where you need to add external load to make them reach that point. But yes, I would say the majority of people I work with do start off at home doing simple workouts with lighter weights. And then we ultimately do need to progress like a gym environment, because they just outgrow the weights that they have and can't elicit that same degree of muscle growth and stimulus that we actually need. But that was a good one. Anyone else? Did that help, Peter?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
All right. Any others?
I had a question, Kaylee.
Yeah.
So for when you said about the protein and the carbs, what is it that causes you to get tired? Is it not having enough, I guess, carbs in the body to give you that energy to fuel your workout? Because let's say you know, for example, you have your protein shake or you've eaten a protein-rich diet, but you still feel tired while carrying out your exercises or your strength training? Where would that come from?
I think the first thing, if this was me and a client, the first thing I would look at is what's your overall intake look like. So how much are you eating total throughout the day? So the energy levels could be a matter of just under eating in general. So if we're not eating enough just as a general day-to-day basis, then we 100% won't have enough to fuel workouts. So that's the first thing I would look at. Are we just eating enough in general? The second thing I would look at is what's our sleep like? So are we getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep? I would argue most parents aren't. Right? So it's like, if we're not getting enough sleep and we're not even eating enough food in general, it's going to be really hard to have the extra energy to do the workouts. I would also say that it would be really important if those things are in place and we're like, I am getting sleep, I am eating enough, then we need to look at what are the workouts? How often are we working out? Are we overtraining? Right? Are we doing too much cardio? Are we not training with intentionality? Because in all honesty, you should be able to go to the gym and within an hour have a really good workout. If your workouts are taking longer than an hour, they're too much, guys. Like, you don't need to be doing more than an hour in a workout, especially if we're training with proper intensity. Most people, once we get to a certain point in training, would do well to prioritize carbohydrates around their workouts. So before and after workouts, that we're eating a little bit more carbs before workouts to make sure that we're having enough fuel to get through them, and that we're eating enough carbs after to making sure we're aiding in that recovery process. So it's a really hard question to answer unless I have like a full picture of like what your daily nutrition intake actually looks like and what your workouts look like too. But
Okay.
that would be my answer to you there. Does that help?
Yes, it does. I mean, it's just this is more so for my spouse actually, because he keeps complaining that he doesn't have energy like once he's done with his training. And I feel like all of the things that you mentioned could be something that I can share with him and see, get him to evaluate where is the problem, I guess. So I'm also writing down taking carbs around your workout. So before and after a workout, you want to focus more on taking carbs. Do you have any recommendation of what kind of carbs?
Whatever you enjoy. Right?
Oh.
Like and it, like, obviously you don't eat a donut. That would be like not very good, but things like potatoes, rice, oatmeal, sourdough bread, those are kind of my staples when it comes to carbs, because I find them easy and they're not very processed. But I mean, and I'm a girl, so eating pasta makes my hips huge. But if you want pasta, like, you can eat pasta, like, they really, whatever you like. Some people like wraps, fruit. I don't know, Kennedy, do you want to jump in? Like, is there any recommendations you have for like pre and post workout that you like?
Sorry, I was finding my unmute. Yeah, I'd say like anything fast digesting prior to, and nothing super high in fiber or fats, because that's going to be a little bit harder for our bodies to digest, and we don't want that energy to be wasted on trying to digest food. We want something that's going to digest fast, get into the muscle, so it's providing that energy. So yeah, anything like Haley said, from some fruit items, rice cakes are super easy on the go. If you find you don't have the time to eat something, there's lots of like even liquid carb forms, although if you're in a calorie deficit, I wouldn't recommend drinking your calories, but again, it kind of just depends on what's at your disposal and what's going to be convenient, and repeatable,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, lowest barrier. But yeah, I would say if it's like for your partner, he probably is under eating. I find that's a big really common with a lot of the males I train, is that they're eating less than they really actually need to be to fuel the workouts that they want to do. There's some females too. I think a lot of times with women I work with, they think they're eating less, but they are like snacking more and like kind of going off the rails on the weekend. So it doesn't actually work out to eating less. But yeah, so it'd be worth just evaluating overall nutrition, overall training stimulus, making sure they match well, so that you're getting the results from the training that you want, but also the results from like the energy that training's supposed to provide for you, not take away from.
Okay.
Okay. Does that help, Jewel?
It sure does. Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to go through some other myths. Yoga, Pilates, and group fitness classes are great for mobility and cardio, not great for muscle building. Even though they market it as that, they do not do that, because none of those things train to failure and create mechanical tension the way we need. They are fun. They build community. They get people moving, and in the gym, they have a lot of positives. They help with flexibility. They help with mindset. They will help with some in like core strength, things like Pilates. But if your aim is to build muscle and see body comp changes that last, and utilize this like really good investment in building muscle, doing yoga, Pilates, and classes is not going to help you. I'm sorry if I ruffle feathers with that one. They are very good at marketing though, but don't fall for it. Cardio alone isn't going to maintain lean mass either. In fact, if you sacrifice strength training for too much cardio, you will actually deplete your muscle mass and increase your stress hormones, and it will have the opposite effect of what you're looking for, especially if you're a woman over 40. So just keep that in mind. There's a reason why a lot of women are like, what worked for me in my 20s doesn't work for me anymore. Yes, true. You can't just go do crazy amounts of cardio and expect to lose the weight and keep it off. So we want to do cardio for heart health. We want to do cardio for overall lifespan and longevity. We don't do cardio to lose weight, and we don't do cardio thinking that it's going to maintain our body composition. Random workouts. So the best thing you can do is find a really simple, easy workout that you repeat over and over and over again for months on end. You don't need new workouts every time. You don't need them random. You need a structured, simple plan that you can follow and then progress. So the only way you can know that you're progressing through a workout is if you're doing the same workout and actually tracking whether you're progressing through it. If every time you go to the gym, you do something different, how do you know whether you're making progression at all? Right? And that one of those stimulus that we need, guys, right, is that progressive overload. Okay. And with that, if we don't have like measurable load progression, we are exercising, not training. So exercising is great. I'm not saying don't exercise. But if you want actual measurable results, like I have this very specific goal to lose this much weight, gain this much muscle, do this type of movement, lift this amount of weight, you need to train, not just exercise. Questions, comments? Like, did anyone sign off when I said that Pilates and yoga didn't do this? Because sometimes that makes people upset if I say that. Anything stand out there? Anything anyone disagrees with?
So Kaylee, I'm just wondering, when you say yoga is great for mobility, I guess that could be like your first step that you do for stretching to, get your muscles warmed up before you actually go into strength training.
Yes, I would recommend not stretching before strength training, actually. Because that's going to decrease the tension building capabilities of your muscle, and actually can lead to more injury. So I would not recommend stretching before strength training. I would recommend a proper warm up. And usually that means like getting your heart rate a bit high and doing some exercises that mimic the exercises you're going to be doing with weight. So for instance, if you're going to be doing some heavy squats, your warm-up's going to be squat-based movements to prep for those, but I would not do stretching prior to strength training.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and yoga, I would say the caveat to this is yoga, I would say is a really good mindset exercise. Not necessarily good mobility exercise because it gets you really flexible in certain positions, but doesn't actually strengthen the joints through those ranges of motion. And so what happens especially with women that I train, I get a lot of women that come to me after practicing yoga for a really long time, have a lot of joint injuries. just because if we stretch the joints beyond their capacity to actually hold the strength in those positions, then we can create injuries. So that would be my other caveat to that. Love yoga for mindset and stuff. And for like having some formalized mobility stretching training, but we just got to make sure we're coupling it with actual joint strengthening as well. Good
I
question.
like that. I like that reminder about randomness doesn't help you track your progress, right? So coming back to the same exercises, even once in a while, and making sure you're progressing and you're doing that progressive overload and seeing adaptation. I love that.
Yeah.
So many people are like, oh, I have to do this exercise. Well, yes, but you need to keep coming back to these ones on occasion and make sure those are going up.
Oh, 100%. I've been doing the same program for 7 months. It's like, it's not supposed to be interesting, guys. You just got to do it. And then the interesting part comes when you lift heavier weights and see progress, not when you start a new program. I want to get through a little bit of the, I don't know if I'll get through everything because I love that we've had conversations, but I think we're getting through the most important part. Kind of touched on this a little bit, Jewel, but just the part of muscle growth and protein. So this year recommendation for protein, just grams of protein per kilo of body weight per day, normally averages out to about 30 to 40 grams per meal. We want to make sure that we're sleeping 7 to 8 hours per night. That just helps with our growth hormone release, and that's how muscle is built. And then we want to make sure we're doing good things to manage our stress. And a good challenge for you guys is to add protein to your first meal. The majority of people that we see in our coaching practice don't have protein at breakfast, and that is the easiest way to get a little bit more protein in your day, is to just make sure you're adding protein at breakfast. Okay, does everyone do that, or anyone not have protein at breakfast?
I've been working on it. That's been a big new change for me, is using MyFitnessPal and tracking all my intake and really emphasizing the protein. It's a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, getting it in at breakfast sets your day up good. So we need 3 things for creating this muscle. We need the stimulus, which we've already talked about. We need the fuel, which comes from both your calorie intake, your protein intake, and your recovery. And we need to be able to sustain it. So we need to build systems that stick, right? So that doesn't mean forcing yourself to go to the gym 6 times a week for 90 minutes. It means maybe 3 times a week for 30 minutes, but just making sure that the stimulus is there and that the support is there, right? So we need all 3 of these pillars in order to actually see measurable and sustainable progress, okay? So don't neglect any one of these things, guys. Make sure you have the stimulus, have the support, and are able to sustain it. Questions about that? I'm just talking a little bit about the sustain piece. So like 2 to 4 sessions a week is fine. I think 3 is a really good sweet spot for most people. We want to track our performance in those sessions. So how many reps we're doing, how much weight we're lifting. That's going to be really good indicators on whether we're actually progressing. A good step baseline, guys, is 8 to 10,000 a day. If you can't hit 10, it's not a big deal. 10,000 it was actually a marketing number. So it's not like based on science. Your like maximum benefit in terms of like health and lifespan come at the 8,000 step mark. So don't crush yourself to get 10 if all you can do is 8. And then your program should repeat and progress. It's not set up to entertain you. I know that's like the lovely thing about fitness marketing is it's made it like this big entertaining thing, but the people that do really well with this lifestyle really lean into the boring. They do the same exercises over and over again. They get steps in every day. They have the same morning routine. They probably eat a lot of the same meals, right? So the better we can get at just being okay with things not being entertaining, then the more successful you're going to be with this, okay? And then the real benefits are, we're going to see that our having more muscle mass improves our energy and our confidence and our mental health, helps us age better, not feel as old. Sometimes it sucks getting old and you feel old. It's going to reduce our injury risk and our risk of chronic health disease as well. And it builds resilience. So there is lots of research studies coming out about how going into the gym and training hard and pushing yourself with that skill actually builds mental resiliency to combat other areas of stress in your life, because you're training yourself to overcome and do hard things, which I think is pretty friggin' awesome, that what I'm doing in the gym is actually helping me become a better human. So a little question just to take away for you guys, like if you were 20% stronger tomorrow, like what else in your life would actually feel easier? Does anyone have something they want to spit out there that might feel easier if you were 20% stronger? No?
My joints wouldn't hurt as much.
Yes, for sure. Running after the kids, you know, all those type of things. That
Having
one you can just having energy, yeah, like waking up in the morning sometimes, you know, not feeling like you have to crash every time, like right after the kids go to bed. There's like a lot of ways this can help, but that's like, I want to finish this up with enough time to answer questions, but we did put together some free resources for you. So if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to a form and you can select one or all of them. So we have a sample 2-week workout plan. We have a little strength training fundamentals handout, and I did put together sleep and recovery resources for you too, so that you can get access to those if you're struggling with sleep or recovery. So I'll give you guys a couple seconds to take that. Anyone that didn't get on it, I'll still send them this link so that they have access to those free resources, Scott, that we put together. So gives you an idea of how to build something out for yourself. Okay. Does everyone have that link? Everyone got that? And then if you do have more specific questions about your where you are at specifically, feel free to contact us. You can book a 15-minute call. I'm not going to sell you anything. I really just want to help you. And a lot of times when we're in these big groups, it's really hard to sometimes ask the questions that are more personal. So if you have a personal thing that you want to address or work through or have some back and forth strategy on, feel free. You can snap that as well. Would love to connect with you guys and help you out in any way that I can. All right, I'm going to stop sharing so I can see all you lovely people again. So turn on your cameras. Like, there we go. Any questions, takeaways, thoughts that kind of came up in the last like couple minutes that we have left?
I had a question.
Okay.
What does 30 grams of protein look like in the morning? I mean, in terms of like, can it be eggs or would it be bacon, sausage? Could you give us some examples?
Not eggs, bacon, or sausage. Those will have a lot of fat and not very much protein. So one egg has 6 grams of protein, just for reference. So one egg's not a lot of protein. You could do like a cup of egg whites and an egg. That'll probably be about 30 grams. A cup of cottage cheese is about 30 grams. I don't really like, you can do a protein shake. You can have Greek yogurt. A cup of Greek yogurt has pretty close to that. You can just like not eat breakfast food. Sometimes they eat like ground beef and potatoes for breakfast.
Okay, so it could be like chicken in the morning.
Yeah, you can eat chicken, right? Like I think we've been marketed about breakfast quite a bit, that we think that like breakfast is a specific type of food. But sometimes if I have like leftover taco meat in my freezer, I'll like put tacos together. So but yeah, so like your 4 ounces of meat, usually 4 to 4.5 ounces of meat is going to have that. Your cup of cottage cheese, cup of Greek yogurt, a cup of egg whites. You can throw in, I like having egg whites mixed with egg. Did I get most of them, Kennedy? Anything else you can put in there?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like breakfast food, I think you nailed the usual ones, but like you said, I think we've like created these rules around what needs to be for breakfast, and you don't necessarily need to have those foods.
Yeah. Did that help, Joel?
It sure did, yes. So I was doing a few of those. I have had like chicken breast, for example, for in the morning, something that's for lunch. I'm like, you know what? That's okay. I'll have my chicken breast in the morning. And I do
Totally.
feel full throughout the day too.
Yeah, yeah. And you want like as best as you can to have all your meals balanced, right? Like protein, some fruit or vegetables, some complex carbs. That's going to help you stay full for longer, get you your fiber requirements because we're really focused on protein and no one's really focused on fiber, and fiber's really, really important too. So yeah, but those were good questions. All right, we got like 1 minute. If anyone has anything else. And Peter, I saw you put something in the chat. I'll just look at the chat. Nice. Focus on muscle building. Love it. Let us know if you need help. I'm excited. I love when people want to build muscle. It's my favorite. I'm such a nerd.
One more question.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between, lean mass and the bulky mass that you were
No.
talking about, or muscle?
All
that you were
muscle
talking-
is lean mass.
Yes.
All muscle is lean mass.
Okay.
Yep.
So-
Whether you look bulky or not really has to do with genetics and training. And a lot of times people that look bulky are on steroids. Like
okay.
it just is what it is. Like most people don't naturally look that way unless they have been training. Like there's some people that do train really, really, really hard and see some really wicked results. But all muscle mass is lean tissue. It all functions metabolically to burn calories. How your muscle looks is really just a nature of like your bone length, right? So it's like I can have a really long bone and so my muscle's not going to look bulky, but if I have like a short bone, it's going to like there's only so much space. So there's no like long muscles. Pilates doesn't give people long muscles. It's not a thing.
So when you're saying like when you're building your muscle, I guess it'll be according to what would go around your bones.
Yeah,
so
like your physiology. It's going to be very much based on your physiology and how and when we talk about building muscle from a physiological perspective, we're talking about like a cross-sectional area of your muscle. So if we took the muscle and cut it cross-sectionally, how much muscle fibers are within that sectional cut, right? So it's not always a way of like size and how it looks to you. It's more of like a lot of it comes down to muscle density as well, because you can have more muscle fibers within a muscle and build it that way too.
Okay. And then as we're building muscle, I'm guessing there's always going to be fat burn as well, because you're using up the energy stores.
Depends on how much you're eating. So if you are eating more than you're burning, there will be fat gain, even if you're training for muscle.
Okay.
So fat loss or gain really comes down to how many calories you're eating.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can make that another topic for sure, because that one's a big can of worms as well. But you have like my email and stuff, so if you wanted to ask me questions about it, I can be a little bit more specific with you.
For sure.
Yeah. Cool. You want to close out, Scott? You good? We got some more.
Yeah, just thanks for coming, everybody, and thank you, Kaylee, for putting this together. So, yeah, people have the QR code for the free resources, and they know how to reach you. So,
yeah, and then for the people that did sign up and didn't make it,
and then when you flex in the Kid Strong, when you say I am strong, you'll have pipes to back it up.
Yeah. And it won't just look good, it'll make you healthier and live longer and age better and have more confidence and all the things. So I love all the things. Yeah, and for the people that didn't make it on, whether it's because of like the little glitch in my system or something, I'll make sure to send out this recording and the link to the resources as well, Scott. So just because I don't want anyone to have missed out because life happened. It just is what it is sometimes.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'm going to another meeting. So thanks everyone for coming. And yeah, you know where to find us, me or Kennedy. If you have any questions, we're always open to help. So
awesome. Thank you, Kaylee.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Haley.